I've got a door right over there that goes on top of the deck that needs to be adjusted, and I'm hoping to be able to adjust it, but I have to come over here first and get my adjustment tool. Yeah, gotta bring this out here. My little 3-step stool, because I think I'm going to need that to adjust this door over here. And usually I fix sagging doors a different way, but this is an exterior door and it's got different types of hinges. Have you ever seen hinges like that? See this gap in there? See how it's been notched in, and all the hinges are the same. And this is a pretty tall door. It's about an 8-foot tall door, but only 3 hinges on it. Okay? And the way this door unlocks or locks is, you see on the side of the door, it's got these little doohickeys that stick out. Here's one there. And I can feel this has been rubbing on. See how it's all been worn off? Down on the bottom of this a little bit. That tells me it's been rubbing. See, here's the one at the bottom. Now see, this one looks fine, doesn't it? But this one, you can really see that it's been wearing, and it fits into these grooves here like this. Okay? When the door closes in that notch, to lock this, you have to lift up on this. When you lift up on this, this thing goes up. Or, oh, it goes down. Okay? Now when I open the door, I push down on it and it goes back up. And see, that fits right in there like that. It's right in there. And then when I lock this, I have to go up, and that pulls these things down. And even though it's like that, then I still have to turn this and actually lock the door. I didn't know that at first when we first moved into this house. I had to kind of play around with that because most exterior doors don't work like this, but I like this type because it really cinches you down and gives you a sense of real good security, because that's going down there. Okay, lots of doors don't do that. But I've noticed, and Momi pointed it out to me, that this door was kind of hard to open. And see, as I push it, see that hits the bottom edge of that, and it kind of has to lift up just to get over that lip in order for me to lock it. And the other day she was grunting on this, and I had to kind of lift up on this a little bit and pull it open. And that's what's happening. That's rubbing. The reason why that's rubbing is because the door is sagging over this way. And you can tell that. See the big gap here on the edge? See how big that gap is there? Okay, when I fall that down, see how it's nicer down here. That's about what you want down in there. See this gap right there? That's about what you want. But see how it's getting up higher, further apart, and that means that this is kind of loosened up and kind of moved over. When this moves over, that takes this door and kind of lets it sag just a little bit. It sagged just enough to hit this down in here. And you see, that means that that top edge should be further than the bottom edge of the joint, okay? Now see, in most cases that gap should be fine, but this is an exterior door. And I like that gap, but for some reason it's not working, because when I fall that down, see how much bigger the gap is down there? Look how big the gap is down there. And so I also, here, I'll get up on my, my little 3-step stool here. And look at the top here. See this gap? That gap should be about the same coming over here. Now see how it gets bigger? See how big? Look how big that gap is right there. See that? Oh, that's kind of slick too. When you lock the door, there's a prong that goes up at the top too. Here, I'm gonna put this in a lock position. When you lock that, you've actually got this coming out too, almost kind of like a deadbolt that goes in there. This one and this one sucks down, and I look at the bottom and see this pin goes down into the bottom threshold right there, and I believe, see there's a strike plate. That strike plate right there, and there's a pin that goes up. See there? That goes up into that. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places where this door locks in. Oh man, I like that. Okay, we gotta get that back. Okay, so you see how I can tell how that was sagging? See there? The door's been sagged down. There's a tighter gap here than at the bottom. And there's a bigger gap up here than on the bottom. So theory has it, I should be able to suck this hinge over. And if you've watched lots of my videos, I've done this not on exterior doors, but on interior doors. I'll take the hinge, I'll open up this and take the hinge, loosen up this, flop that out, pre-drill some holes in there, suck the hinge in, and all that kind of stuff. But the funny thing is, with this particular door, these hinges are different. And there's some writing. There's some writing on here, and see, there's a screw right in there, screw there, and there's also a little screw there. And I think those are adjustment screws. You see, down here, I've got one screw right in the middle, right there. And I look at that little wording there, and part of it's removed, but I think it says use hand screwdriver. I'm going to look up at the top. And let's get this over here. Man, it was raining here a little while ago, earlier. And I was hoping to be able to do this even while it was raining. And I'm fine now. See there? It says use hand screwdriver. And I'm like, what is that for? And see how this hinge looks like it's pooched out there. This screw in there looks like it's moved out. And I think what that means is that you can adjust this hinge by moving those screws, and I'm going to try that in a minute. But you look at where this hinge is and see there's a pocket. There's a pocket right there, and we've got the same on each one. And I'm more specifically interested in the top rather than the middle or the bottom one at first. And I've never adjusted a door like this before. And you're going to see what I see for the first time. If you got a door like this, you might want to keep watching this. And see that right there. And what happens with that is when I'm I'm gonna move you in here closer. I'm gonna zoom this in because I'm gonna lift up on this door, and I want you to see if that moves closer to there. I've got the door open, and I'm gonna try to lift it and move it. See how when I push that, I can push that up right in there. It kind of wants to give, doesn't it? Well, that's because I should be able to adjust this door by moving those screws. And I'm hoping that it's still able to be adjusted up there, because that looks bent on the other side up in there. Worst case scenario, what I might do, I'm going to first try to use my hand screwdriver on the top one there. And I think if I tighten that screw, I should be able to get this moved over that way further. Loosen the screw, it'll probably come out further. Okay, so I'm going to try that. And then I may even try down here of loosening the screw. And I could take the bottom of this and move it over to the left, because see how big the gap is over here? The theory has it, if I just move the bottom one over to the left, that's actually going to raise, that's going to put this edge of the door over closer. That's actually going to raise the door up. Isn't that funny how that works? That's going to move that up. It might move it up just high enough to get this to go in there and to stop rubbing on that. Now this one here was not rubbing, that little side notch, but every time Mommy tries to open this door, you have to lift the doorknob up a little bit as you're trying to pull the door open so it doesn't rub on there. And that's the whole reason why I'm making this video. And I'm gonna move this up a little bit. Okay, so first things first, I gotta move. I'm gonna see if I can take my Phillips screwdriver and move that screw in and see if that doesn't raise up. Now, if I had another person here, as I had this door open, I could get them to kind of push on this door a little bit, you know, to get it up. But I don't, and so what I may have to do is take this door and try to lift up on it. I may have to try to put something underneath the door as I'm pushing on this, like a piece of wood or something, to get the slop out of there. But first things first, I'm just gonna go on the other side there and see if I can't tighten that screw. Okay. Let's just see what happens. Oh, look at that, it does screw in. Yeah, it's moving. I don't think it's that easy to just do this, but I don't think it's, let's see what happens here. I think I may have to, man, it looks like I almost did it just by doing that. I thought maybe the screw might be stripped or something, because the hinge was kind of bowed out right there. This house is about 18 years old, and wasn't sure if this was going to work or not. It couldn't be that easy, could it? It's almost like the screw is just turning. Okay, I was able to screw that whole thing in all the way. May have to get a hammer and tap that other bit the hinge in, because remember it was bowed a little bit. It doesn't really seem to have done anything. Now see, if I want to try to raise it up, as I'm pushing on this, it's not going up. And okay, I think what I may have to do is loosen the bottom to push it over to the right. And see, right now there's no slop in here at all when I push on this. Okay, and I want some slop so that when I push the bottom one over, it'll therefore push that one up to where the set screw is. Does that make sense? I'm going to try it. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen here. So I'm going to unscrew this little screw there a little bit. Okay. Now I can take that bottom one, and if I unscrew it, that should take this whole door and push it over that way. It should take the slop and push it that way, because I've got some give on here now. As I push on that, you can hear it as I'm pushing on it. See, I can push up on it, and with that bottom hinge, I think if I just unscrew that screw, that's going to move it over. Instead of tightening the screw, I'm going to loosen the screw. Okay. I don't have my work pants on, and I don't have my okay, wait a minute. I don't know if I'm going the right way or not there. I think I am. I'm loosening the bottom screw, okay? I just have to be careful here and see what's going to happen here. I usually have my knee pad down. Okay, loosen the screw, push that over. I've got a little bit more of a gap there now. Loosening that screw a little bit more. And it says use hand screwdriver. That's what I'm doing. Okay, now there's some tension on it. Getting it right out to where I've got tension on the screw. And now, as I'm loosening it, I think it's pushing it further away. See, I gotta be, oh, look at that. I actually made it, see, I actually made it worse by loosening it. Let's see here. By loosening the screw, see how tight the gap is? I've got now I can't close the door because I've got it over that way too far. And that's actually lowered the bottom down, and I'm hitting the threshold at the bottom. Okay, and it's actually lowered the entire door down too far. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go the very opposite direction. See, I thought it was loosening it, but I guess I'm gonna have to take this and tighten that bottom screw. Little trial and error. See, I can see how it's moved. How it's moved on there. Isn't that weird? Okay. Okay, here we go. Now I'm tightening it further, and I can tell that it's pushed in a little bit. I'm thinking, not sure if that top hinge is working properly or not. We'll soon find out. Okay, I'm still tightening it, and I can feel it. I can feel it moving a little bit. And what that's doing is moving in between here. Okay? Looking at the gap there. And I'm going to try to go a little bit further on there, see if I can get it tight anymore. And I can tell it is moving a little bit. I've got that screw tight. There's only so much you can do to adjust this. Once they installed the door, they still had to get it close, and they should have had these adjusted about in the middle so that if anything were to slack off later on down the years, you can adjust it more easily. And I'm looking at this, and it looks like it's going. It looks like it went a little bit. Now, how can I get that? See, I don't think I can get that up anymore. Maybe I can get this middle one. See, there's a V and an H here, and I can hardly read those. Okay, trying to tighten this middle hinge where this screw is. Hold on. And it looks like it's tight for the adjustment. And I don't know, I think I must have done it a little. Not a whole lot. And I don't think I can get it adjusted any further than that at the bottom. Let's see if I can't tighten it anymore. Nope. Okay, I can't adjust it anymore at the bottom. And at the top, I can't really do anything at the top. The top one, the screw is to the left more so than the right. I'm trying to think what I could do, if anything, to get it any different. So I've got the gap out further now, and it's not rubbing. It's not rubbing on the bottom anymore. it's just barely sitting on the threshold, and that's what I want. Okay, but I can't really get it much further than that. And see, it almost looks like it's almost the same as it was before, and I was hoping that I could get a little bit more adjustment out of there, and I can't, because that bottom, see, the bottom screw is out further now, so that's pushed that door over to the left further. Okay, and it needs to go a little bit further than that even, but that's how you adjust those hinges. Okay, and the only thing I can do different, my word, look how big that gap is. I really needed to get that pushed in further, and see, there's a little bit of air back in there. See that black line in there? That tells me that this hinge actually could be pushed over to the wood just a little bit further. And when I look at that up in here, it's like this hinge could be sucked in a little bit more. You see what I mean? And these screws are probably small screws. They probably need to be longer screws to be pushed in there. And I happen to have some longer screws. And the same color, as a matter of fact. And I might be able to get a screw in there long enough to go through this and into the 2x4 or the 2x6 that's behind here, and suck this hinge in just a little bit more, okay, to get it pushed in a little bit further. That's what I could try if I wanted to get it over further. What else could I do? I could take and loosen up this bottom hinge, this hinge here, okay, right here, these screws and those screws, and I could tilt that out at a slight angle. I could put a shim in between this, and not just the door trim, but the door jamb, and put a little something behind there, or I could put a little screw back in there, and that would take this and push it over to the left a little bit, thereby making this gap smaller, thereby raising this up, making this gap smaller, and having it not rub up there and raising that up. When I look at that, see how that is right on the edge, right there, the bottom of it. See how you can almost see that little pin is kind of rolling just a little. And you can see this one here. It's just right on the border, right there, where it could be raised just a little bit. So I'm gonna try to work on that. I'm gonna take this, and in order to push that in, I'm gonna set that here, and I'm gonna get something to hold this door open. Yeah, this door is not even plumb exactly, or else the door wouldn't be swinging open. Measure this here. I can get a block of wood under there. Possibly. Maybe a 2x4. And then a screwdriver under that to hold the door. Because when I loosen up the hinge on the top, this door, because it's a glass door, because it's 8 foot tall, it's an exterior door, it's a heavy door, and that's going to want to sag. Okay, I'll do that first and get all set up and get ready. Okay, little by little, I'm gonna get this. I want it up a little bit further than where it is. Okay, if you happen to have an exterior door like this, this is the way to adjust them, especially if you've got these types of hinges. Okay, I was hoping to just make the adjustments at where those screws are, but because this is an 18-year-old house, the door has settled, the door jamb has settled a little bit, and I've taken the time to explain everything to you and to look at this and to make the attempt of adjusting it with just these screws first on the actual hinges. Now I got to put my thinking cap on and do something more for this particular door. Whew. I'm glad that's over with. Well, that's all I got for this time, but I'll be back with more videos. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to show you next, but I'll find something.